Joyful blessings. This is Kaylin Castell, and we have another look at the next new moon happening October 14th, 2023. It's also an annular solar eclipse that is really intensifying and magnifying everything that is happening with this new moon, and it is amazing. So the theme that is really coming up for me is you are another myself, recognizing from the Libra mysteries that everyone is a part of us and we are a part of everything is a part of us and we're a part of everything. We're all connected. We're going to see this a little bit more as we go along. But first, just to give you a sense of what an annular eclipse means, and the word annular means ring shaped. And so there is a ring shape that is formed around the sun. And the reason that this happens is because, as you can see in this imagery, at a total solar eclipse, the moon is closer to the earth. And in an annular solar eclipse, the moon is further away. So the moon being further away means it's not quite big enough to completely cover the sun like it does in a total solar eclipse. So we have this annular eclipse. It creates a ring of fire, similar to, we could imagine it being like a alchemical fire that is burning away the things that are not useful or helpful anymore. So in Libra, this ring of fire new moon eclipse is suggesting that we have an immense opportunity to heal our personal and collective relational wounds. The moon, sometimes referred to as Luna, and is considered feminine, often considered feminine. Now, there are masculine gods that are associated with the moon, so it's not always the case, is surrounded by the ring of fire, the sun or soul, also considered often to be masculine energy, although there are feminine goddesses, my favorite being Sekhmet, the goddess Sekhmet, who wears the solar disk on her head. So it's not always masculine, feminine in the way that we're thinking about it. However, in this particular case, regardless of whether you're thinking of the moon as masculine or feminine, or you're thinking of the sun as masculine or feminine, this is the coming together, the marrying of the feminine, if we want to say it's the moon, with the masculine, if we want to say it's the sun. And it's surrounded, the moon is surrounded by the ring of fire from the sun during this eclipse. And so that conjures images of what is being alchemically transformed. And with a Libra annular eclipse, the alchemy that I'm feeling into, and I feel that a lot of people are going to be feeling into, is all around relationships and how we relate to ourselves. First, how do we relate to ourselves? And then how do we relate to each other? So here's just a little bit of the astronomy to get you tuned into where this is happening in the sky and the other things that are going on with this eclipse. So here's a sky map, and you can see here's the sun and the moon together in the constellation of the priestess. Now, the sun and the moon are at 21 Libra, and the star Spica is at 24 Libra. So this is conjuring this imagery of and being with this Bohemian star, this solar eclipse. Now, the Bohemian stars, let me just back up a little bit. The Bohemian stars are the magical stars of the ancient alchemists. They would do their most important ceremonies when there were planets within 6 degrees of the star. So we've got the sun and the moon within 3 degrees of Spica. And then we'll also talk a little bit about Arcturus, because Arcturus and Spica are at the same degree. And we can also see that Mars is here. The asteroid Ceres is also here. Mercury is also in Libra. So there's a lot of planetary energy associated with that. We can't see Pallas Athena, but she's also here. And then this is all opposite the North Node and Eris together. Eris being an asteroid, it has a 500-year orbit. It spends 120 some years in Aries. So the North Node is coming to align with Eris, and Eris is about how to create disruption so that something new can come in. And Chiron is here to heal the wounds of the past, exactly opposite Mercury. at the time of this annular solar eclipse. And because eclipses happen near the nodes, we can see that the moon is within 3 degrees of the south node, and Mars is also here as well. So there's so many things that are going on with this. And if we think about how Spica was the star that the ancients saw as the expression of the feminine when Venus wasn't visible in the sky, and Mars being the expression of the sacred masculine, and Mars not being that far from Spica as well. Very powerful activation that's taking place here. And the other thing is how Pluto is in square to the nodes. It's still within a 3-degree square of the nodes. And this lasts all the way through the rest of this year, where we're going to have Pluto square the nodes. So Pluto being also about the alchemy and activation of how things are changing, how things are being it's like put into the alchemical fire so the base elements can be transformed, transmuted and transformed. The lower vibrational energies can be transmuted and transformed into the higher vibrational energies. And for me, I always think of it as the higher vibrational energies of love. So we have this happening now. Again, 21 degrees Libra, the sun and the moon at the exact eclipse in the constellation of the priestess, Spica being at 24, in the constellation of the priestess being at 24 Libra. And that is because the seasonal signs, we could say the equinox sun was rising here at 0 degrees Libra, and then will have moved to 21 degrees Libra by the time we get to the eclipse. The scales also are below the priestess, and we'll look at that probably the next month when we see the new moon. That'll be somewhere near the star Zub and El Janubi. But this just kind of gives you a sense of what is in the sky, because you won't see it because of the sun being there. One of the things I find is if I know the stars, if I've been familiarizing myself with the sky and I know the stars and I go out and I look, then I can feel the presence of those starry energies being illuminated by the sun. So here's Spica and Arcturus, and that just another look at this new moon happening on October 14th. And Arcturus is very much connected as an expression of the masculine that is there to protect and support the feminine priestess energy of Spica. And I will put a link in the show notes that will go into greater detail about these stars. And both of these stars are Bohemian stars, are magical stars. So both of these stars are being activated at this eclipse. And it's a time to do the high ceremony, to create the talismans, the elixirs, the potions, the intentions, however you are inspired to work with these energies. At this time, the sacred marriage between the masculine and the feminine. And we'll be looking at that a little bit more later. But meanwhile, here's the path of the eclipse. It's coming through the United States. This dotted line here is the path of totality, where you'll see the most of the sun being covered by the moon. But all across the US and into South America and Central America is going to see some version of this eclipse. So this just kind of gives you a sense of where that is. You can, I'll put in the show notes a place where you can go and find out what is happening where you are in relationship to being able to see this eclipse. So now, one of the things that is being burned in the fire, the alchemical fire, the ring of fire on this eclipse, are the possible blocks to authentic relationship. And these are also further being dismantled by Pluto and Chiron. So some of the blocks may be afraid to be vulnerable. Like if you're in a relationship and you're living with somebody, or you're engaging in a deep, intimate relationship, and that doesn't necessarily just mean a beloved other. It could be a family member, it could be a friend, it could be different ways that we are, that a fear of being vulnerable can affect how we experience relationship. there's also the being terrified of being alone, even if a relationship is miserable. So it's like, how can you be your authentic self when you're in a relationship that isn't actually supporting you to be who you are? And then surrendering to others' needs or desires. And often this can happen when we're not even aware of our own personal needs that aren't being met in the relationship. And I will share that I have been in those kinds of relationships. I've gotten to the place where I have definitely done the deep healing work and am no longer in that. And now am in, as I have mentioned before in other videos, in the best relationship of my life with my best husband ever. I call him my BHE, best husband ever. And he loves me for who I am and not who he wants me to be. And this is the ideal in any relationship, that we can be loved and valued and supported and appreciated for who we are and not who someone else wants us to be. Because this is another block to authentic relationship, is when we're sacrificing who we really are to be in relationship with another person or others, whatever that might look like. There's also being so busy showing up for what you believe others want from you that you're not showing up for yourself. So these are just a few to kind of get you tuning into what is it that you can put into the alchemical fire. Are there ways of being in relationship that cause you to not really be your authentic self? Now, another thing I want to share is, I shared this in the last video on the new moon, having really been inspired by the 13 Original Clan Mothers by Jamie Sams. This is just a way to bring the energy in, and it feels like it's very much the alchemy, weaving the web, but also what does it take to bring all the pieces, parts together to create a new web of relationship and of being together on this planet, on this earth, in ways that we can celebrate and support one another and accomplish far more together than we could on our own. So this is the invocation that Jamie Sams created for this moon. Gossamer thread of life, hold me, perched between earth and sky, weaving the web, dreaming the dream. Through the two worlds I will fly. With you as my muse, mother, I create the substance of dreams, allowing the artist within me to fashion my life esteem. I mold the clay of experiences into a sacred medicine bowl, capturing the essence of living as it sinks deep in my soul. Your secrets of creation, mother, have taught me when to destroy the chains that have bound me, limiting the expression of my joy. You have taught me how to labor, giving birth to the serious visions within, to the beautiful visions within, setting them free like silver arrows, kindling the fire of creation again. And this seems like it's also speaking to the eclipse, this eclipse energy. So what is it that we're needing to destroy? What is it that we're needing to let go of and put into that alchemical fire so it can be transmuted and transformed into something, so that we're kindling the fire of creation again, and we're giving birth to the visions that we have within us and how we are relating to one another and to the earth. So another thing that came up for me when I was tuning into this was the statement. This is a Mayan saying, in Lakesh, and it means you are another myself, or I am another yourself. There's different ways that that has been spoken into. So I was like, okay, in Libra, we learn about ourselves through the interaction with others because they're reflecting something back to us. Everyone that we encounter is another aspect of who we are. So I'm another yourself, you are another myself, I am you and you are me. We are one. We are one. So this is what we've forgotten and what we've gotten away from. So how can we place into the alchemical fire any of the ways that we do not remember that we are all one, that we're all connected? We are from the same source. We are from the one light. We are one with each other. We are one with everyone in the universe. And in the Mayan tradition, when somebody would say in Lakesh, the response would be Alaken. And that is sometimes pronounced Halaken, essentially meaning the same thing. You are another me. So keeping in mind that we're all interconnected, that whenever we are doing harm to anyone or anyone is doing harm, it's like when harm is being created, it's happening to the person creating the harm as well as the person that's experiencing the harm. So if we can remember that, and remember that we want to be aware of how we are showing up and connecting with everyone, because everyone is a reflection of who we are. Now, as I was thinking about that, I was remembering this movie. I love this movie, I Heart Huckabees, came out in 2004. And this is an image of Jude Law saying, "How am I not myself?" And so in this movie, Jude Law is being helped by these existential detectives played by Lily Tomlin and Dustin Hoffman. And Jude asks, "How am I not myself?" And the detectives keep repeating it over and over. And Jude Law just doesn't seem to get that he asked this really brilliant question, "How am I not myself?" So I feel like this is a question worth asking over the next several months. And how am I not myself? How have you given up yourself to be in a relationship or to play any cultural expected role, or just not really allowing yourself, recognizing yourself, trying to be something other than who you are, than your authentic self? So this is a great question to ponder, to journal on, to meditate on, to really think about in terms of, are you showing up in ways that really aren't authentically you, because that's what you're doing to survive. And we've all done it. I've done it. I know, I can still do it. I'm still working on it myself. So this is part of what we want to put into the alchemical fire. I also feel this is a time about healing the relational wounds from the male patriarchal God. And the question that comes up for me is, how can we not only explore, but also dismantle the distortions in the relational realms between male and female, seemingly rooted in the concept of a patriarchal God who must be worshipped? So we'll see that here in the Bible. I forget exactly where it is said, but God says, "I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself a carved image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or serve them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me." Like, how is that a loving, just God? Just so if we think about this having been perpetrated in our cultural reality for such a long time, I feel like it's time to offer to the Ring of Fire Eclipse Cauldron all these old limiting beliefs and effects of a jealous God who demands praise and glory above all others, threatening punishment for the generations to come. So if we're going to, this is one of the ways that we can then have a more authentic relationship with ourselves, because if we recognize that we were created by divine source, then how could we ever be anything less than the source that created us? How could that ever be the truth? So what would it take to heal the conditioning that led you to this limiting belief? And this is the relationship we have with ourselves, and the relationship we have with life in general and the divine. So bringing it back to us, bringing it back to the place where a loving, creative source energy, we can never be anything less than that energy, and it can never really, truly judge itself. Because that just isn't how it's designed or created. So bringing that back into our awareness. Now, the other thing is that we often, because if we think about this, how God is perceiving us, how we're trying to fit into this image that God, we have to do in order to be in the good graces of God, whatever that might be, then we're not getting to be who we are. And so I love this song from Billy Joel, and I feel like this song, and it will also be in the show notes that you can go and click on the link to get to this song, that it's just the way you are. You don't have to be different. You don't have to change yourself. You don't have to adjust yourself. You don't have to do anything. Have the relationship with yourself as you are. So here are the words that Billy Joel says in these songs. Don't go changing to try and please me. You never let me down before. Don't imagine you're too familiar and I don't see you anymore. I would not leave you in times of trouble. We never could have come this far. I took the good times, I'll take the bad times. I'll take you just the way you are. Don't go trying some new fashion. Don't change the color of your hair. You always have my unspoken passion, although I might not seem to care. I don't want clever conversation. I never want to work that hard. I just want someone that I can talk to. I want you just the way you are, just the way you are. I need to know that you will always be the same old someone that I knew. Oh, but what will it take till you believe in me the way I believe in you? I said, I love you, that's forever. And this I promise from the heart. I couldn't love you any better. I love you just the way you are. I don't want clever conversation. I never want to work that hard. I just want someone that I can talk to. I want you just the way you are. And how can we get to this place? How can we use this time of this month with all this transformational energy that's happening to really be able to want ourselves just the way we are, want each other just the way that another person is, not to have projections, expectations, or anything on that, but just be able to show up and be who we are and allow other people to show up and be who they are. So this is what I'm feeling is the big energy of this eclipse. If you definitely, I'll have additional articles and videos in the show notes, so don't forget that. If you aren't subscribed to my channel, I highly recommend subscribing and getting notified when new videos are posted. And also just again on the zodiacal constellations and the Bohemian stars, and also a new course that's starting on the magical stellar gateways. You can go to mystaralchemy.com to get more information about all of that. So here's to you having an amazing transformational solar eclipse experience. Whether you get to see it or not, know this energy is present for you and will continue to be present for you for at least the next 6 months.